morning, everyone. Is everyone doing? Hanging in? Tough times, but we take it day by day. We do what we can. We spend time walking. My dog wonders why she gets so many walks every day, so it's good for her. Reading, watching Netflix, cooking, just taking up time as productively as we can. And then doing this and doing other work. So anyway, thank you for joining me here on Sunday morning. I feel odd coming in here on a Sunday morning because this is where I would normally be teaching, but it's kind of empty. Just so you know that I am practicing safe distancing, because when I come in, there's nobody else in here, and in fact, the studio is empty like all the time. I come in from time to time, water plants, check things out, because I live very close, and so then that's about it. Otherwise, the studio is empty, so it feels a little bit weird. But here we are again, Mindful Bodyworks studio, and this is the lounge where people sit, have tea before class, chat quietly, and it's a lovely space. So I'm glad to be able to offer this from here to you. So we're going to do a yoga practice today. I invite you to, do what you can. If anything's too challenging, then, sit it out or just do something else, or usually try to give people options, do this or do that. Props, the usual. I have two crisscrossed mats. Obviously you don't have to, so I can turn myself around. And two blocks, if you have blocks. If not, most of what I do can be done without blocks. Books will also work. And a blanket, if you have a blanket or a pillow or anything that you can sit on. So we're going to start standing today. So you're going to come to your mat. And just have your feet about hip distance apart, or any distance that feels comfortable for you. And don't be too rigid on what your feet should be doing, what your toes should be doing. Just kind of come to stand in a place where you feel balanced. And just kind of shifting your weight from side to side. And just trying to feel a sense of grounding through your feet. And then you're going to pause. You're going to find a little bit of stillness here. And try to feel what we call the tripod of the foot, the big toe joint, the baby toe joint, and the center of the heel. And really press it down. Feel like it's really grounding you. So if a gust of wind came across your body, you'd hold it. And then just pay attention to where your neck likes to sit. Does it like to sit a little bit forward? So you might want to just think about moving it back, but not so much that you're straining the neck. Just let the head lay heavy on your shoulders without doing anything too severe to change the alignment. Let your arms just rest heavily by your side. And they're just going to start to shift the weight from foot to foot. You can do this with your eyes closed. With eyes closed, you have a little bit more perception. Perception is a little bit heightened. So just shifting your weight from side to side. Just seeing whether the weight flows easily from side to side or one side is preferred. And then shift your weight forward and back. Forward and back. And then as you move, just see how the weight changes on the soles of your feet. It's going to move from the front of the foot to the back of the foot, the sides of the foot. But you're still trying to keep a sense of grounding. And then you're going to move in a circular pattern. Your whole body, hips leading the way. And then again, observe, how does this feel on your feet? You feel the weight shifting on your feet, but you're still able to hold your ground. And then just for a couple of rounds more, try to make the movements a little bit further. And then once again, see how your feet have to accommodate. Just come around. So the weight bearing is going to happen, obviously through your feet holding you, and then the other direction, but also through your hips. So if you can maintain a sense of stability in your hips, then it's going to help your feet maintain the ground. And then you're going to pause here, shake it out. Take your arms straight up. You're going to reach for the right wrist with the left hand. You're going to pull that arm up with the left hand, but pull the shoulder down. Then you're going to drag your body over to that left side. Then keep reaching that arm over the head, but now find that grounding in the foot. Find that grounding in the foot, outer hip, pull it in, and can you go a little bit more? And just observe here how that top side is long and bottom side wants to collapse. But can you put a little bit of life into the bottom side also as you reach the top side? slightly rotate your chest to the ceiling. Keep reaching, feeling that beautiful side stretch. Breathing into that space, and those ribs expand with every inhale. And then slowly come back up. You're gonna feel a little bit lopsided. We'll do the other side. Reach for the other wrist. Reach that arm up, but pull the shoulder down. And then drag that arm across. So the bottom arm is helping to pull things along. Left foot stays grounded. And then feel the top ribs expand. Feel again how the bottom ribs want to collapse. Don't let them. Lengthen the bottom ribs as you reach and reach. And now breathe. Keep breathing into those side ribs. And feel like with every breath, it's a big dome effect in the left side. Puff it out. And again, chest pointing slightly to the ceiling. And then coming back up. And shake out your arms. Then we're going to bend the legs. Feet about hip distance apart now. Front hip bones or pubic bone are the landmarks. So I'll give you the cues for the hip bones first. So if you use these front hip bones as markers, you're going to lift these hip bones to the ceiling, and this tailbone will drop. And then the hip bones are going to go down to the floor, and the sitting bones are going to lift. And then just moving through these two actions. Holding it here, posterior tilt, feel those hip bones roll back, and then roll them to the floor. And if you prefer to use your tailbone as a marker, when your hip bones are going back, your pubic bone is lifting up, your tailbone is going through your legs. Then go the other way, let your pubic bone roll back, and let your tailbone lift to the ceiling. Just doing a few more, nice and slow, and trying to find your end range every time. So again, I like to remind ourselves that you can feel the lower back moving. When the pelvis moves, the back has to move also. Then you're going to pause here, and you're going to draw the sitting bones down, tailbone through. Drop the chin, drop your arms, and lower down. All the way, like a rag doll. Arms heavy, head heavy, all the way down. When you get there, your legs are bent. Just let your arms sway from side to side. And then pause in the middle. And then drop the sitting bones. Lift those, drop the sitting bones, lift the front hip bones up. And lift those back ribs right across those lower rib cage, lift it up. Round your upper back. Come all the way up, nice and slow. Head coming up last. Do it again. Tuck the chin, arms heavy, round your back. Feel like you're pulling every vertebra up from the one below it. And especially for many of us right there, that point where the lower ribs end, where the thoracic spine becomes the lumbar spine. Now can you lift those lower back ribs and lift that lumbar spine, that lower back to the ceiling, and then start to go down. Keep your tailbone tucked under, and then you're going to bend your legs, come to your hands and knees, and come to tabletop. We're going to come into cat-cow, but doing it segmentally. So drop your sitting bones around your lower back, around that the lower thoracic, lower rib cage, and then middle upper rib cage, head tucks, chin tucks. Go the other way. Sitting bones lift. Sitting bones lift. Lower back drops. Keep those sitting bones lifting. Middle ribs, upper ribs, chest comes through, chin looks up. And then go the other way. Drop those sitting bones. Try to keep the upper back rounded as you drop the sitting, other way, keep it lowered, and then up you go. Keep everything around, especially the upper back, and start to lift those sitting bones up. Can you isolate the movement of the lumbar from the thoracic? And then the thoracic, maybe one segment at a time. Chest comes through, chin looks up. And then keep everything in this flex position, or in this extended position, and start to go the other way. Drop the sitting bones. And then start to lift. And then pause in neutral. Come down onto your knees. You can sit cross-legged, sit on blocks, whatever you need. You're going to reach for the right wrist with the left hand. You're going to make a tight, tight fist. So when I make a fist, what I try to think about is the pad of the fingers coming to the top padding of the palm, and trying to get those to touch. This way we get to move more of the joints, try to get all the joints to move. If they don't touch like mine do, that's okay, but you still want to try to get them to touch. Then roll those knuckles in. Then wrap the thumb around. So you're in a tight, tight fist, feeling all the joints of the hand working. Other side, get those fingered pads to touch the palms of the pads of the palms, and then roll those knuckles in and wrap the thumbs around. So now you have two tight fists. Reach the knuckles to the floor. Reach the knuckles to the ceiling. Knuckles to the floor, to the ceiling. Reach the knuckles out, keep the arms straight, and then roll the knuckles in. And you're gonna try and keep those arms so straight that they don't move. Can you just make little circles with the knuckle or with the fists without letting the forearms move? So they're pretty small. Then you let go of one hand, grab the other forearm, and now you can make the circle a little bit bigger because you have some support to prevent that arm from moving. Keep those fingers pulling in. If you're like me, you're spending a lot more time this week on devices and computers and different things. So let's try to do some work to counteract. Shake it out. Other side, come back to make that tight fist. Hold on. And then make those circles. So you want to make the circles small to start, so you're really sure that you're only using the wrists. But then you want to visit the end range every time. So if we don't go to our end range often and then try to go a little bit beyond it, then we're never going to increase the range. So we want to try to get that controlled movement. And then shake it out. Then you come back to your hands and knees, pausing here. Curl the toes under, lift your hips, draw it all back to downward facing dog. Let your head hang heavy, completely heavy, be a bobblehead. Bend your legs, tilt those sitting bones to the ceiling. As high as you can, lift them up. Front ribs in, and then straighten the legs. Pressing the thighs back, pressing the shins back. Don't worry about your heels touching the floor. Think about your heels pushing back, like you're trying to iron out the wrinkles in the front of the ankles. Push those heels back. Try to lengthen the bottoms of the feet, the tops of the feet. And don't worry about hitting the ground. They will come to the ground eventually. Just as an FYI, probably took me 10 years. So don't be in a hurry. You're not going anywhere. And then bend the legs. Draw the front ribs in. Come back to tabletop. Do some shoulder work. Going to set your hands under your shoulders, hips over the knees, front ribs in. And let's just move the shoulder blades towards each other and away from each other. Squeeze them together. So imagine the inner lines of the shoulder blades would touch each other, and then push the floor away to spread them apart. Squeeze, pull in, push the floor away to spread them apart. Take a little bit more time here, spreading those shoulder blades across your upper back. That's what we call protraction. And really make a point of feeling what muscles are activated. You should try to feel muscles around the armpit, right underneath that armpit. Really push down. And if you get a sensation of those muscles working, then you know you're doing the right thing. Pausing here, and then you're going to come up to your hands and knees. Step the right foot forward, so the right leg is 90 degrees, back hip is under the knee. Let your hands rest on your knee, and then we do that pelvic tilt again. Tailbone's going to slide through, tailbone is going back. They're going to hold it in what we call that posterior tuck. Hold it here. Feel the glutes working on the left side as part of your stability, holding it here. Then you're gonna reach the arms straight up, hold. Then rotate, just your upper body. How much can you move your upper body without your hips coming along for the ride? And you'll notice that that outer left hip, left glute, if you've got it working, is going to help you hold that. And then bring it forward. Then we're gonna go the other way. It's gonna be a little bit more challenging. Go the other way. Notice that left hip really wants to go back. Keep it forward. And then just rotate to your open side. And then come back. Bring your arms forward. Again, make those tight, tight fists. Move those shoulder blades away. Pull them in. Hold them in. Take them out to the side. Internally rotate the shoulder joints. Rolling the deltoid to the floor. And then roll those upper arm muscles back. So that big bulky part of your upper arm is your deltoid. Roll it down to the floor and roll it up. Or roll it back. Then reach those arms straight up. Take the hands to the floor. Walk the foot to the right and straighten out your back leg. You might have to lengthen your stride here a little bit. You can have your hands on blocks or books or on the floor, your choice. Then we work on straightening that back leg. You're gonna hug that right knee into the body, holding it here. Keep hugging that thigh in, trying to feel the inner thigh muscles engage. And then lift your hips, slide the front leg back. Come to downward dog. And then come forward either to tabletop or to plank. Spread those shoulder blades. Move the breastbone forward. Don't drop your head, look forward. Draw those ribs in. Can you use your legs a little bit more? Push your heels back as if they're pressing into a wall. Then push your hands and your feet towards each other. And then lower the knees. Come up to kneeling. Step the left foot forward. So knee over the ankle and the front leg. Little pelvic movement. Front hip bones lift up, front hip bones drop down. Then you're going to pause in this posterior tilt position where your glutes are going to support you, holding it here, and reach your arms straight up. Now use your arms to elongate the side body. Elongate. Front ribs in, holding it here. And then we're going to lower the arms to shoulder height. And we're going to rotate without moving the hips. Rotate like an airplane over towards your front leg. Can you keep the side ribs evenly long? And then forward. And then to your other side. Which without that hip coming forward. Or without it moving back, sorry. And then keep going. Keep going. Keep that breastbone lifting. And then we'll bring the arms forward. Take your arms up. And then take the palms forward. Wrist extension. Press the palms forward. Now we're going to lift the shoulder blades up and pull them down. Shoulder blades lift up, pull them down. So it's just the shoulder blades moving, lifting up to the ears and then pulling them down into your back pocket. Lift them up, pull them down. Two more. Lift those shoulder blades up, pull them down, lift them up, pull them down, and then release. Walk your foot away. Hands are on the inside of the foot, back leg super straight. Pausing here. Hugging that knee into the body, back leg super straight. And I see a lot of us have a tendency just to kind of dump into this. So I always say be proud. Send that breastbone forward and keep your head, eyes just looking forward. Keep straighten that back leg. And then lift your hips, slide that front leg back, bend your legs, come to tabletop. So set your hands, push the floor away, feel that protraction in your shoulder blades. Front ribs in, curl the toes under, and lift your knees just an inch, tiny bit. Then keep the floor pushing away with the arms, holding the upper body strong. You're gonna hold this, you might start to tremble a little bit, that's okay. Keep holding it here, keep pulling the hands towards the feet towards the hands. Watch your head, don't let it hang. Keep the breastbone coming forward. Just a few more breaths. Hold, front ribs in, push the hands to the feet to the hands, and then pull it all back to downward facing dog. Just let your head hang. And then you're going to come down onto your knees. Pick up the right foot, step it out to the side. So the right foot is in line with the opposite knee. If this sitting bone wants to stick out, wrap it under. Think about wrapping the flesh of that sitting bone under, of that glute under. So you've got a nice long line to the inner thigh. Reach your arms straight out. And then you'll take your arms to shoulder height, squeeze the shoulder blades. Without moving the pelvis, can you lengthen to one side? Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Maybe the hand taps the floor. And then bring it back up. Then you're gonna lengthen to the opposite side. At no time are you letting your side body collapse, nice and long. And then come back. 2 more times, reach, reach, reach. Keeping that underside nice and long. Fingertips tap. Come back up. Other side. Reach. Try to make the side body as long as you can. Then you're gonna tap your foot, maybe. Come back up. Other side, last time. Keep reaching, keep lengthening the side ribs. Tap. Come back up. Over to the other side. Reach. Tap. Come up. Pause your arms for a moment. Take that leg out, straight. So the heel is in line with the opposite knee. Toes are pointing to the ceiling. Reach both arms up. You're gonna lengthen over that straight leg. Lengthen. It's really tempting here to collapse the side ribs. Keep that length. So that arm reaching is gonna help maintain length. Keep reaching, reaching, reaching. Then your hand can come down, gently tapping the shin, and then maybe sliding that hand further towards your foot, but keep the ribs long. That top arm's reaching, breathing into the side ribs, and reach a little bit more. Now can that bottom arm go further? Can you lengthen the bottom side ribs? And then pull it all back, hands to the floor, step back. Come back to downward dog. I just want you to observe here, feel the difference. How does one side feel versus the other? I know my right side feels longer, feels more spacious. Then you're gonna bend, come down, do the other side. So lift that back. The left leg, lift it up, take it across. Then take a moment here. If that sitting bone is sticking out, wrap it under. Really bring that sitting bone, the flesh of the glutes, wrap it through. Extend your arms straight out. Then we're gonna lengthen. Keep the side ribs long. Keep finding length. And then tap. And then up. Other side. Keep going. Keep the under ribs nice and long. And then back up. 2 more times. Lengthen. Every time you want to feel like you're going to lengthen a little bit more. And then tap. And then up to the other side. Maybe tap. Come back up. Last time. Reach. 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 Tap. Come back up. Over we go. Ribs nice and long. Tap. Come back up. And then we'll straighten that leg. You're going to be on the heel, toes pointing to the ceiling. Reach your arms straight out. And then, again, you're going to lengthen. Bottom ribs, nice and long. Keep lengthening. Watch that right hip. Don't let it stick out. Pull it in. And then let your hand gently graze your shin. Top arms reaching over the head. So it's easy to think about the top side more than the bottom side. Why do you think about the bottom side more? Can you find more length there? Keep reaching that arm over the head, but keep lengthening the bottom ribs. The hand may slide closer to your foot. And then breathe into those ribs. The inhale creates space in the body. So use those deep inhales to create that sense of spaciousness through the rib cage. And then bring it back up. Hands to the floor. Bring it back. And we'll come back to downward facing dog. And now our body feels a little bit more balanced. Again, bend your legs if you like. Get a little bit more length in your sitting bones. Sitting bones go a little further back. And then press your thighs back. Try to get your legs as straight as you can and push the heels back. Really dig into the big toe joint, baby toe joint, push the heels back. And then we'll come back to tabletop. Sit back for a moment. Shake out your wrists. And then we'll come back to tabletop. Take your knees a little bit wider. Curl the toes under and lift your knees just an inch. Spread those shoulder blades. Pull those front ribs in. Don't tuck your tailbone. Keep your sitting bones in neutral. And then pause. So now I'm going to give you an option. This is where I like to give options. One, of course, is to stay here. Holding it here. Knees lifted. Keep sending your sitting bones to the wall behind you. Don't drop them. Pull those front ribs in. Lift one foot. Hold. Just an inch. The other knee is off the ground, by the way. Then lower it. Then lift the other foot off the ground. Can you keep your torso still? And then lower it down. Pause here. Take a break. So here we go. And you can tell me if my hips move. This is great. I have an audience. I don't usually have that. So what we're trying to do is not let your hips shift from side to side. You're going to curl the toes under. Lift the knees just an inch. Shake your feet a little bit wider. Give you a wider base of stability. Come on the fingertips on one hand and lift that hand. Then lower that hand. Come on the fingertips on the other hand. Don't move the pelvis. Lift. Hold. Lower down. You see how my knees lifted? Pause. Hard work. Let's try one more time. Curl the toes under. Front ribs in. Sitting bones back. Lift your knees just an inch. So I'm going to try really hard this time not to move my knees. Lift one hand. Lift the other foot, maybe. Woo! Then lower down. Let's try the other side. Last time. Ready? Lift. Pressing that right hand into the floor. Lift the fingertips, or just beyond your fingertips, lift the hand, and maybe lift that foot. And then pause. Give it a break. Go back towards child's pose. Take your hands, palms facing the ceiling. And then turn your hands around and come to downward dog. So from this downward dog, you're going to step the right foot to the right hand. Front leg is 90 degrees, more or less. Back leg is straight. Pause here. Right outer hip, suck it in. Pull it in. Holding it here. Now let your hands come off the floor. Make your arms straight. Reach the fingertips to the wall behind you. Roll the shoulders open. Actually rotate the shoulders. I'm just going to hold it here. Reaching the breastbone forward, crown of the head forward. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hand to the floor or to the block. Rotate towards your front leg and then reach that arm up. Hold. Can your torso move without your hips moving? Find that extension through the spine and then bring it back. Walk your foot to the right, both hands on the floor. Let your front knee rest over your ankle. Come onto your fingertips, holding it here. Then reach one arm straight up in front of you. Lightly come off the fingers on the other arm. Can both arms come out in front of you? Holding it here. And then hands to the floor, step back. Come to plank. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Pull them apart. Come forward. Keep the chest open as you lower down, nice and slow. Forehead to the floor. Take your arms up by your side. Actually rotate the shoulder blades and lift those palms to the ceiling as high as you can without letting the shoulder blades, the arm bones come forward. Try to hold that external rotation as the arms lift. And we're going to hold lots of tension in the arms. Posterior tilt in your pelvis. Hold. Head only comes up to be in line with your shoulders. It's not a back bend. Lift those arms a little bit higher. Lift those arms a little bit higher. Hold. Keep those arms tucked into your side. Hold a little bit more tension in the arms, lift, and then lower. Take the hands by the lower ribs, cobra, and then lower. Cobra, and then pull through to upward dog if you choose, and then pull it back to downward dog. Step the left foot forward. Front leg is bent, 90 degrees. Left hip, pull it in as part of our stability. Pulling those front ribs in, lift your hands, and then reach those arms back as much as you can. Reach them back. Same thing you did a moment ago. Palms to the ceiling. Keep those shoulders in external rotation. Can you let your hands come a little bit higher? Hold. Pause. And then bring the hands to the floor. Walk your foot to the left. Front leg stays bent. And again, you're gonna lift one hand, reach that arm forward. Can you hold your pelvis in this position and reach both arms forward? Reach the back heel back, hold. And then release, hands to the floor, pausing here. Get the right hand under the shoulder, rotate to your front leg. Hug that shoulder blade into the body, and opposite arm can reach the ceiling. Hold, breathe. Find that nice twist in your spine. Make sure you're not leaning forward, letting that breastbone lift up towards your chin. And then release, step back. So your choice here, you can come to tabletop, do some scapular push-ups, the scapular movement. You can come to plank, do this scapular movement. If you want to come through full vinyasa, you're dying to do that, go for it. Or be in downward dog. Holding it here, hips back, thighs back. And then I'm gonna step the right foot forward. Hug that right hip in. Come up, let your hands rest on the front thigh. Pausing here. Can you find that grounding in your foot? Can you wrap the left hip forward? Fire the glutes on the left. And then we'll reach the arms straight up. Hold. Pivot your left heel to the floor and find your warrior two. You might have to play with your foot a little bit. Extend your arms. Now what's holding the weight of your arms? Let it be your upper back. Draw those shoulder blades in. Looking over your right hand. And then you're gonna let that left hand, back hand slide down your thigh and reach that top arm over the head. Come back to that same work of lengthening the side body. Again, that left side wants to cave in. Can you give it a little bit of length also? Maybe looking up towards the ceiling, towards your hand. And then bring it back down, back to warrior two. This time you're gonna reach that right arm forward as much as you can. Reach it. Lengthen the underside, and then palm to the ceiling, and then reach. Both arms, reach. Bottom rib cage, nice and long. Back foot grounded, back inner thigh working. Hold. Now can you wrap that sitting bone under that front leg like we did earlier? And then bring it back up. Lower the arms. Take the elbow to the knee and arm over the head. Keeping the elbow at the knee, or you can slide your hand down your shin, squeeze the knee in the arm, and then once again, that sitting bone, wrap it through. Doing a lot of work in that hip. And then come back up to warrior two. We're gonna try here to transition to the high lunge position, and then lower back down, step back. Again, your choice. Scapular push-ups. I always like to remind ourselves, you can't do too many of these scapular push-ups, especially if you really focus on end range every time. And then we'll meet in downward dog. Lift your hips, step left leg forward. Pause here. So if you know bouncing is not happening that well today, move your feet a little further apart. Widen your base, it'll give you a little bit more stability. Then keep that leg bent and slowly come up. Come up. Left hip, hug it in, front ribs, reach the arms. Then you're gonna pivot, back heel to the ground. I like to move my back foot back a little bit. and then lower the arms. Let your upper back hold the weight of the arms. Feel the upper back working. And then lengthen towards your back leg without moving that front leg, and lower that hand down your thigh, top arm over the head, breathe into the rib cage. And then come back to warrior two. Lengthen. Lengthen over that front leg. Leg's not moving. Good. And then come back up. And then bring the elbow to the knee, arm over the head. And slide the hand down your inner leg towards your ankle. Squeeze the knee and the arm. And again, the flesh of these glutes is wrapping under, really feeling the work of the hip, around the hip activated. And then come back up. Reach that arm. Reach that arm, palm up, and then reach both arms. Imagine you're holding the beach ball between your arms. Bottom ribs nice and long. Back leg strong, outer foot heavy. And then come back up, lower the arms. Come onto your toes on the back foot. Come back to that high lunge position. And then hands to the floor, step back. Again, your choice. For this one, I'm going to come through full vinyasa. I'm going to start in plank, spread my shoulder blades, lower down. Hands by the lower ribs, tops of the feet heavy, hip creases heavy, and lift the chest and lower down. Lift the chest and then pull yourself through to upward dog. And then pull it back, downward facing dog. Again, pull your heels back. Come onto your toes. Walk your feet forward. Take baby steps forward until your feet get pretty close to your hands. Bend your legs a little bit. Feel the back of the legs. Feel those hamstrings working. And you're just going to hang here. Hand the opposite elbow point. And then maybe upper body swing from side to side. And then slowly bringing yourself up. Nice tall spine. Let's come into tree pose. So shoulders over your hips. You're going to bend the front leg. We're going to do it a little bit differently today. So typically, I know I do this for years, I use my hand to pull my leg up. We're not going to do that today. So you're going to bend that front leg, externally rotate the thigh, holding it here. So we have many options here. One is just to let your toes rest on the floor and heel can just rest at your opposite ankle. That's option one. Then we're going to do here, keep that left side really strong. Lift your thigh, your right thigh towards your armpit. If you have a wall, use a wall. Holding it here. And then bring the foot to land. Squeeze the foot and the thigh together and be here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lower it down. Clearly I'm not having a good balance day today. Let's do the other side. So let's start by actually rotating. The femur bone is rolling out, the hips are not moving. And holding it here. Then starting to lift that knee towards your armpit. And then bring that foot in to touch wherever it touches is fine. Hold, pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bring the knee forward and lower it down. Shake it out. You're gonna bend the legs. Have your feet pretty close together for this one, pretty close together. You're gonna bend your legs as if you're pulling your heels back, try to get those hamstrings to work. Come into Utkatasana. Reach your arms straight up and take your thumbs to heart center. Take your right elbow across the opposite knee, holding it here. Pressing into the left foot, step the other leg back. Hold here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold the twist, pressing into that front foot. Step the other leg forward. Pause, come out of it, back to Utkatasana. Hold, front ribs in. Thumbs to heart center, other way. Elbow across to the outer knee. Stepping into that front foot, other leg back. Holding it here. Find that rotation. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Press into that front foot, other foot back. Pause. Utkatasana. Reach your arms straight up. 1, 2. Push your heels back. 3, 4, and 5. Thumbs to heart center. Straighten your legs a little bit. Keep that glute firing on one side, and you lift the other foot up. Hold. Hold. That knee's gonna wobble. Both knees might wobble, that's okay. And then lower. And then hold the legs bent. Stepping into one foot, lift the other foot. Hold. And then lower down. Straighten your legs. Just checking in with your body, with your breath. Bring in evenness to the breath. Inhale, extend your arms, straight up. Exhale, hinging forward, fold. Inhale, breastbone forward. Exhale, set your hands, step back. And again, whatever you want to do here. Shoulder blade movement. You can even lift your knees, shoulder blade movement, plank, shoulder blade movement, full chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog if you prefer, and then we'll meet in downward dog. And then you're gonna come onto your toes, walk your feet forward. So I invite you now to, we're gonna come to seated, but I want you to do it however you wish, but try to come visit a squat. Press your heels, just see what your squatting feels like today. Then your knees come forward, lower your hips. Just do that a few times. Then maybe you can pause in a squat, maybe, maybe not. Pause wherever you need, your hands can be on the floor. And you can take the hands behind you and sit down. Extend your legs. Hands by your hips, roll the shoulders back. So I want to test now, you know that earlier we did that pelvic movement. I want you to test what it's like when you're seated. So using again those front hip bones as markers, can you roll the pelvis forward? And then can you roll the pelvis back? Pelvis rolls forward and then back. So it's really important when we move, as we do in our yoga poses, to know where the source of the movement is. Many times hips are leaning back, and we're really determined to do our forward bending by just moving the upper back. The intention of a forward bend is to move the pelvis, so rotate that pelvis. So then I know you might be thinking, but my pelvis doesn't move. That's okay. Make that your intention. So if you always bypass your hips and are happy with this forward bend, then that's what your body will continue to do. If you think this is my intention, is to roll my pelvis forward, and even if you're here feeling like your pelvis isn't moving, but that is your intention, you're working really hard, try to get a little bit more movement in the pelvis, it will start to move. So that's what I encourage you to do. Just move the pelvis, be there. And even if it's here, just move that pelvis. Sometimes the pelvis is so far back that moving it is really problematic. Elevate. That's all the elevation does, is it puts the pelvis into a different position so that it can come forward a little easier. But keep moving the pelvis. Move the pelvis. So I have my feet apart. Your feet can be whatever position you want them to be in. And then pause. Then we're going to take the feet. I think your feet were together there. I had the blocks in my way, so mine weren't. Then we're going to take the feet about hip distance or maybe a little bit wider. And we do the same thing. Let your pelvis come forward. So a few options here. The hands can be by your side, giving you some support, or the hands can be in front of you, giving you support in a different way. So you're pulling the fingertips toward you, and you're continuing to rotate that pelvis forward. So your spine goes along for the ride. It doesn't lead. And then come back up. Then we're gonna go wider. Again, stay on your blanket or your block if you need to. You're gonna take the legs wide, flex the feet, press the thighs into the floor, holding it here. Take one of your blocks. So now we want our pelvis to stay in neutral. So I describe this as having suspenders on your hip bones. Lift them up. Hold your block. Offer me your block. Push the palms into the blocks. As you push the palms into the blocks, can you feel your shoulder blades draw together? And then move the shoulder blades apart, giving me the blocks a little closer. And then squeeze them together, shoulder blades, and then pull them apart. Holding here, and then you're gonna take the arms, lift the block over your head. What happened here? Can you straighten those arms? Front ribs in. Can you keep the legs active? We're trying to grow the side body. Reach, reach. And then take the arms forward and lower down. Pause. So you might have guessed excuse me, my intention with today's class was to really work on length and the sides of the body. So pretty sure everyone's daily habits are quite different in our current environment. Maybe spending a lot more time sitting, reading, working on a computer, working on our devices, watching Netflix, whatever it is that we do. So I thought, let's give us an opportunity to open up, to get a little bit more length on the side of the body. So that was my intention. Grab your block. Reach your block to me. Move the shoulder blades away from each other so the block comes forward. Then squeeze in, the block moves towards you a little bit more. And then move the blocks, or the shoulder blades apart. And then take the arms up. Reach, reach. Squeeze the hands into the blocks, front ribs in. Can you keep those front hip bones? Can your suspenders pull your hip bones a little bit higher? Reach. And then forward, and then down. Pause, take a few breaths. Maybe now you've been here a little longer, can your feet open up maybe a millimeter more? Then you're gonna take your block, and you're gonna bring your elbows in line with your armpits. Your arms are about 90 degrees. Push your hands into the blocks. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, holding it here. So your shoulder blades are doing two things. They're depressing down your back, and they're trying to stay together. They're not lifting up, in other words. Then you'll lift your elbows up, maybe an inch. Imagine you had another block at your elbows. Keep dropping those shoulder blades down your back, then lift. Can you bring your shoulders into some external rotation here? So those upper arm bones rolling open. Then lift a little higher and squeeze. You're gonna pretty much squeeze everything. And then go a little higher. Keep squeezing. Don't let those elbows splay. Pull them in. Can you go a little higher? Controlling from the back. And then lower, lower. Give me your block. Move those shoulder blades away. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And we'll hold for 1, 2, if your arms aren't trembling, you're not working hard enough. 3, 4, and 5. Whew, shake it out. Pause here. So now we're gonna extend the arms. Feels so much easier with the weight of the blocks. So you're gonna rotate your upper body towards one leg without moving that sitting bone. Just rotate your upper body. It's not a big rotation, but it is a rotation. Then you're gonna imagine you're gonna lay your breastbone over that leg and take the hand down to your shin, maybe to your foot, whatever is available. Then the opposite arm's gonna reach over the head. This opposite sitting bone, right sitting bone's gonna maybe get a little bit light. Can you make it heavy? And then the goal, remember, is to reach and lengthen the bottom side of the body. this is what wants to happen. Lengthen the bottom side. Make it more about the underside than the top. And then keep going. Keep that bottom side nice and long. Keep the breastbone moving to the ceiling. Keep going, keep going. So now if you feel a little bit further without collapsing the bottom side, go. Even if that sitting bone gets a little bit light, just go for it. Then pause at your deepest point. Now pull that sitting bone to the floor. Try to get even groundedness on both sit bones. Hold. Can that arm go a little bit further? Whew. And then bring it back up and lower down. Again, we feel a little bit lopsided. Let's do the other side. Raise your arms straight up. Rotate your torso towards the other leg. And then take your breastbone towards that leg. Reach. At this point, that other sitting bone might be getting a little bit light. Don't worry, we'll come back to it. Then keep reaching. Let that hand come down to the shin, maybe to your foot. And then take a moment here to lengthen that bottom side. Top arms reaching over the head. Then keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Hold. Keep going that bottom side. Now bring that up, other sitting bone. If it got light, give it some weight. Press it down. Breathe deeply. Breathe to create space. And then slowly coming up. Shake it out. Bring your legs together. Step your feet, bending your legs. Extend your arms. We're going to do a roll down. Pelvis leads the way. Rock that pelvis back. Don't grip your belly here. If you grip your belly, you'll prevent your lower back from being able to round out. So let your belly be relatively heavy. And now lift those back ribs and start to go. Your sitting bones have wheels on them, and you're letting those wheels slide only in one direction. If you can get your lower back to the floor, pause there. If you can't, then just stay a little bit above it. And then keep going until you lower down. Squeezing your thighs to your chest. Hugging your thighs in. Making circles with your knees. One direction, other direction. Nearing the end of our practice. Come back to that breath foundation. And then we're going to bring both feet to the floor. We're going to end with our figure 4 pose. Take the ankle across the opposite knee. Press that thigh away from you. Again, I'm going to give you an option today whether to do this in an active way or in a passive way. I'm going to get closer to you. So passive would be arms slide through, pull that leg in. So one leg is pulling in, other thigh is moving away. Active is same thing with no hand. Keep pressing that thigh, wrapping it away from you, moving it in external rotation. Option, stay here or straighten the leg. If straighten the leg proves difficult, give yourself some support. So same action. The extended leg is moving towards you, and then the opposite thigh is wrapping away. Nice deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. And then pause, feet to the floor. Reset your pelvis if it got out of alignment. Then we'll do the other side. Ankle to the knee. Bent leg wrapping away. Other leg moving towards you. And again, using your hands if you wish. Pulling that thigh in, wrapping the other one away. Maybe no hands. Straighten that leg. Push the heel to the ceiling. One leg moves towards you, other leg moves away. and then release. Feet flat on the floor. Let's come to bridge pose. Set your feet hip distance apart. Press your feet. Pull the heels towards you. Lift your hips. Roll the shoulders under. If you want to do another back bend, by all means do so. Otherwise, you can clasp your hands beneath you. Send your front hip creases to the ceiling. Send your breastbone to the chin. Extending your arms. Either hands clasped beneath you or hands flat on the floor. Let your breathing be even. Maybe your hips can go a little higher. Find a little bit more thoracic extension. Then unclasp the hands. Can you come down one segment at a time? Keep your tailbone moving forward. And then drop your upper back one segment at a time. One vertebra at a time. Again, that lower ribs. That's the problem for many of us. Pause here for a moment. Let your belly be soft. Let your lower back become a bit of a hammock to receive the weight of the belly. And try to get your lower back to touch the floor. And then your hips, and then reset your pelvis. And then from here, you're going to close your practice in whatever way you wish. If there's another pose you want to do, want to do an inversion, want to do more back bends, or you want to do happy baby, bring it into more of a quieter practice to end. It's fine. And then, in the interest of time, I'm going to talk you through a short shavasana. So you extend your legs and extend your arms. If you're uncomfortable with your legs straight, you can bend the legs, feet apart, knees collapse into each other. A little soothing for your back. Again, if the slant of your forehead is moving back, put a blanket as much height as you need. So you don't want to constrict the front of the throat, but you want the angle of the forehead to move towards your belly. So whichever of these configurations works for you, you're just going to let your body take complete rest for a few moments, or as long as you have. You're going to continue breathing, but with less direction now, so let it become its own breath. Letting it follow its own rhythm. You're no longer controlling it, you're no longer directing it. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Feeling every part of your body be completely heavy on the floor. So any part just touching the floor, your arms, your shoulders, your bum, your calves, your feet. Give all that weight to the floor. Relax your jaw, soften your mouth, soften your gaze. So again, you're either going to stay here longer. My time is going to run out very shortly, so I have to come out of it. So once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for checking in today. I've received such lovely messages from so many of you. I really do thank you warmly from the bottom of my heart. So many bad things are happening in the world right now, but so many good things are happening. You hear about people reaching out and, people feeding people, and just some of the, really good characteristics of people are giving selflessly. And in my own little microcosm, again, many of you have reached out, and I really do appreciate it.